The great hall of the hive was a cathedral of chitin in soft, bioluminescent light. The queen stood upon her dais, her multifaceted eyes seeing not the bowed heads of her attendants, but the endless aching void where her daughter had been for 3 long cycles. The scent memory of the child, a unique blend of nectar and swift energy, had grown faint, a ghost in the communal network. She had deemed her lost, a tragedy whispered in the pheromonal currents of the ship. To hope was a luxury her logic had discarded. On the main viewing screen, the void was interrupted by a blocky, angular vessel. It was a human ship, one of the first their kind had encountered in this sector. The preliminary communications had been terse, efficient. They had found something, someone. The queen's primary heart, deep within her thorax, began a slow, heavy rhythm that contradicted her calm exterior. In the docking bay, a tense silence prevailed. The royal guard, their carapaces polished to a sharp gleam, stood rigid, spear tips angled downward but ready. The humans were an unknown quantity, their reputations a confusing mix of violent conquest and inexplicable compassion. The airlock door, organic and irising, dilated with a soft hiss. 2 figures emerged. The first was a human, tall and clad in a simple gray environment suit, its helmet removed. He had a calm, weathered face, and he moved with a careful slowness, his hands held clearly away from his body. His eyes scanned the bay, acknowledging the guards but not challenging them. They held a profound tiredness. But the queen did not see the human. Her entire world narrowed to the second figure. It was her daughter. Older, taller, her larval softness replaced by the elegant, slender form of a young adult. Her chitin, once a pale blue, was now a deep cerulean, scarred in places but whole. Her antennae, which should have been drooping in despair, were lifted. Trembling with an emotion that flooded the bay before she even spoke, the young one took a single, stumbling step forward, her 4 eyes fixed on the dais. A sound erupted from her, not through the complex scent language of her people, but a raw vocal cry that tore from her vocal slit, echoing in the silent chamber. Mother! The word was Galactic common, understood by all. It was a child's word, universal in its desperation and joy. The queen felt her own regal composure shatter. A tremor went through her great form. Her daughter broke into a skittering run, crossing the polished floor in a blur of blue. The guards parted instantly. The queen descended from the dais in a rush of limbs, meeting her child halfway. They entangled, antennae weaving together, forelimbs clasping, a storm of chittering clicks and subsonic pulses too rapid and complex for the human translation module to capture. The shared scent memory, thought lost, loomed between them, overwhelming and perfect. The queen wept, clear fluid welling from her ocular facets, after a long moment. The young one pulled back slightly, one delicate limb pointing toward the human, who remained a respectful distance away, his face still calm. Watching the reunion. Mother, I'm back. She cried again, her voice trembling but clear and common for him to hear. He rescued me. The queen straightened, turning her gaze fully upon the human for the first time. The emotional storm receded, replaced by the cold, sharp focus of a ruler. She addressed him, her voice a synthesized, elegant tone from her translator. Explain. The human gave a small, weary nod. 3 standard years ago, my scout vessel was charting the fringe systems beyond the gutter. We found a debris field. It was a graveyard. Lots of organic hull material, like yours. And one small, intact life pod. He paused, his eyes distant. She was in there. The pod systems were failing. She was injured, scared. We couldn't talk, not then. My ship's med bay is basic, but we patched her up, fed her, tried to figure out where she was from. The young one interjected, her clicks translating swiftly. They were kind, Mother. The others, the ones who attacked our ship, they were not. They took everyone else. He fought them off to get to me. The human shook his head slightly. I didn't fight a fleet. I was just a miner with a sensor array. I saw the attack end, saw the slaver vessel jump away. They missed the life pod. It was drifting. I retrieved it. He looked at the young alien. She was brave. So brave. Learned common faster than I could learn her clicks. The Queen listened, her mind processing. You have had her for 3 cycles. Why return her only now? A shadow crossed the human's face. The gutter is a long way from anywhere. My ship is slow. It took a year just to get to a relay station with a database detailed enough to identify her species. Then we had to find you. Your people aren't easy to locate. We followed trade routes, asked questions. It was a process. The young one moved closer to the human, a gesture of unconscious familiarity that did not escape the Queen. He taught me, Mother, about stars and rocks. He shared his food. He called me Little Wing because of the sound my carapace makes in the sunlight. When I was sad for home, he would play music from his world. It was loud and strange, but it filled the silence. The human gave a faint, almost embarrassed smile. She taught me things too. How to listen to the harmonics of stellar radiation. How to see patterns in the dust. Saved my life when the CO scrubber failed. Knew exactly which filament to reseal. She's clever. The Queen observed the space between them. It was not the space of captor and captive, nor even just protector and ward. It was the space of a family, forged in the lonely vastness. The human story was not one of heroic battles, but of stubborn, enduring patience. A 3-year detour. A miner, sacrificing his livelihood, navigating the dangerous fringes to bring a lost child home. What is your name, human? The Queen asked, her tone softening imperceptibly. Leo, he said. Leo. The Queen tested the word. You have brought the light of my life back to me. You have my thanks, and the thanks of the entire hive. Any reward within our power is yours. Name it. Leo looked at the young alien, then back at the Queen. He shook his head slowly. Seeing her here. Seeing you both. That's the reward. I don't need anything. The young one clicked urgently. He must stay, Mother. At least for a time. His ship, it is very tired. Like him. The Queen saw the deep fatigue in the human stance, the worn patches on his suit. He had given years of his life. A request formed in her mind, not as a reward, but as a necessity. You will stay. The Queen declared, the royal tone leaving no room for argument. You will rest. Your vessel will be tended in our docks. You will eat from our harvests and recover your strength. And you will tell me everything. I wish to know the human who saved my daughter. Over the following days, the hive ship learned the sound of human footsteps. Leo was given quarters adjacent to the royal chambers. He shared meals with the Queen and her daughter, the young one happily translating the nuances of each dish. He told his story in full, the bleak loneliness of the fringe, the constant repairs on his aging craft, the moments of shared wonder at a nebula or a strange, quiet moon. The Queen, in turn, shared the history of her people, their collective consciousness, their artistry with biolight and sonic sculpture. She learned that humans valued the individual story as much as her people valued the communal song. They were different, but the bridge her daughter had built held strong. One evening, in the garden bioluminescence chamber, the young one was demonstrating to a fascinated Leo how to modulate a light crystal with a gentle tap of a claw. The Queen watched from an archway. Her chief counselor approached, his scent conveying cautious concern. My Queen, he is. An unknown variable. His influence on the young mistress. His influence? the queen replied softly, her eyes on the scene, is that she lived to return. She is not a broken thing. She is whole, wiser, and carries a song of the stars we have never heard. He did not just return my child. He returned a diplomat who loves a human. This is not a variable. It is a gift. On the day Leo's ship was pronounced spaceworthy again, the docking bay was full. The entire royal court had come. The young one stood beside her mother, struggling to maintain composure. Leo stood before the queen, his pack on his shoulder. Thank you for your hospitality. The debt is eternal, Leo, the queen said. You will always have a haven here. You are of the hive now. He nodded, emotion tightening his throat. He then turned to the young one. He didn't speak. He simply opened his arms. She rushed into the embrace, a gesture wholly human, her delicate limbs wrapping around him as best they could. They held each other for a long moment. Be good. Little wing, he whispered. Visit, old miner, she clicked back, her translator conveying the affection. He released her, gave a final nod to the queen, and walked up the ramp into his patched-up, polished ship. The bay cycled, and the vessel drifted into the black. The queen placed a limb on her daughter's shoulder. They watched the ship shrink to a dot and vanish into the starfield. The young one leaned into her mother, the sense of home and honey and chitin surrounding her. Yet woven into her own scent identity now was a new note, the scent of recycled air, of machine oil, and of steadfast, quiet kindness. It was the scent of a human who had given her back the stars and given her mother back the universe. The hall was silent, full of the absence of a friend. But it was no longer a place of loss. It was a place where a new story had begun. The queen held her daughter close, and for the first time in 3 cycles, the future did not feel like an endless, cold expanse. It felt strangely and won.